Most people don't think about this until it's too late. They assume they'll always have a way to cook, a working stove, a microwave, electricity, but the moment that stops, everything in your kitchen changes, because honestly, a lot of the food people rely on just doesn't work without heat. Rice, pasta, frozen meals, all useless if you can't cook them, and that's where most people realize something. They have food, but nothing they can actually eat. So instead of guessing, let's go straight into 10 foods that work without cooking. Foods you can open, eat, and actually rely on when it matters. 10 foods that work without cooking. Start with peanut butter. This is one of the most efficient foods you can have. It doesn't need cooking, doesn't need refrigeration, and it's extremely calorie dense. Just a few spoonfuls already give you a solid amount of energy. That matters more than people realize. Because when food is limited, calories matter more than variety. Crackers come next. On their own, they don't do much, but paired with something like peanut butter, they become a complete, easy option. They last a long time, they store well, and they give you quick carbohydrates. Their strength isn't what they are alone, it's what they become when combined. Canned tuna is one of the simplest protein options. Open it, and it's ready. No prep, no heat. High in protein and fairly filling. Pay attention to what it's packed in. Tuna in oil gives you more calories, which makes it more useful when you need sustained energy. Canned chicken gives you more flexibility. You can eat it straight or mix it with other foods. Quality matters here. Some versions are dry, which makes them harder to eat on their own. Choosing one with better moisture makes a noticeable difference. You know, tortillas are often overlooked. Bread goes bad quickly, but tortillas last longer, take up less space, and honestly, they don't need heating. They're great at turning separate foods into something structured. Think about peanut butter wraps, tuna wraps, even chicken wraps. Without something like this, well, you're just eating isolated items. But with it, you have something closer to a meal. And then there's trail mix, small but powerful. Nuts and dried fruit are extremely calorie dense, so you really don't need much. No preparation is required at all. This is the kind of food you reach for when you don't feel like eating a full portion, but yeah, you still need energy. Honey, on the other hand, plays a different role. It lasts a long time and doesn't spoil easily. It gives quick energy when you're low on fuel, and honestly, just a small amount can make a noticeable difference. It's not a main food, but it supports everything else. And then there are canned beans, which are one of the most practical options out there. They're already cooked, which is important, because dry beans don't help without heat. Canned beans give you carbohydrates, fiber, and some protein. You can eat them straight from the can. They're not exactly exciting, but, well, they work. Ready-to-eat soups add variety. They don't need heating, and in a situation where options are limited, you will eat them that way. They bring some balance and make things feel less repetitive. That actually matters more than people expect, because eating the same thing repeatedly wears you down. Nutrition bars are controlled and simple. You don't overeat them. You don't need to prepare anything. They're easy to ration. That becomes important when you need your food to last. Step back for a moment. This isn't just about food. It's about how people think. Most people shop assuming everything will always work, that they'll always have power, access, and options. When that changes, everything becomes more basic. You stop thinking about meals. You start thinking about what you can actually eat right now. Imagine opening your kitchen and finding that everything needs cooking. Rice, pasta, frozen food. You technically have food, but you can't use any of it. That's the gap most people don't see until they experience it. Balance matters. You don't want only sweet foods, or only protein, or only carbohydrates. Different foods serve different purposes. Some give quick energy, some keep you full, some simply make everything easier to eat. That combination is what makes your supply work. Random stocking is where most people go wrong. They buy what feels like a lot, but it doesn't work together. Thinking in combinations changes everything. Peanut butter with crackers, tuna with tortillas, beans with wraps. That's how basic items turn into something usable. Storage still matters. These foods only work if they're kept properly. Cool, dry, organized, easy to access. Having food isn't enough. You need to be able to use it without thinking. The real shift is simple. Preparation isn't about buying more. It's about choosing better. Better combinations, better balance, better better understanding of what actually works. When you don't have the option to cook, you won't care what tastes best. You'll care what keeps you going.